Welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled City Council Indio Water Authority joint meeting. Today is Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. We will start with call to order and roll call by our city clerk.
For the record, all council members are present.
Thank you. This is the time for public comment. Any member of the audience who wishes to address the body at this time on an item not on the agenda may come forward and make themselves known. There are requests to speak forms in the back of the room. If you'd fill one out, turn it into our city clerk. We would be happy to hear from any one of you. Seeing no one step forward, we'll close the public comment period and move into adjourned session to discuss items 3.1, 3.2 as noticed in the agenda. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor, if I may, I will be recusing myself on item 3.1 due to a financial interest in a property within 1,000 feet.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regularly scheduled City Council Indio Water Authority meeting for Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. We will start with call to order and roll call, please.
Councilmember Ortiz,
Present.
Councilmember Furman,
Present.
Councilmember Holmes,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Miller,
Present.
and Mayor Lupe Ramos Amit.
Present. Thank you, City Clerk. Now is the time for public comment. This is a time set aside for public comment. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Item number 2, invocation. We have a special guest this evening from Garden Fellowship, Pastor Dave McCoy, who will lead us in the invocation.
Thank you, Mayor Ramos and council members. Thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. Heavenly Father, thank you so much, Lord, for the city of Indio. Lord, I thank you for the city police that are represented here today, the fire department, Lord, the distinguished city council members, and of course the mayor and all of the city employees. And Father, I ask that you would bless them, bless their households, continue to provide for them, and just thank you for them truly for the good work that they're doing. Father, we lift up today's proceedings. We ask that you would give everyone clarity of thought, Lord, that you would give the city council members wisdom as they weigh this evening's decisions. And we pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Dave. Next, we have a special guest with us from Amelia Earhart School. We have AJ Viramontes, who's a 5th grader. AJ, if you come up to the podium, you see that red light? That means that we can hear you. So AJ likes to draw during her free time and play sports, such as football and practice jujitsu. Very interesting. And you are here this evening to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we will be ready when you are.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, AJ. I hope you enjoy your special gift from us for coming and being with us this evening. We hope that you come back and visit us, and we also hope that you tell your friends about it, so maybe they'd like to come also, okay? Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is item number 4, City Attorney Report on Closed Session.
Thank you, Mayor. There's no reportable action on the closed session items today.
Thank you. Item number 5, City Manager, 5.1, Introduction of New Employees.
My pleasure to introduce the newest members of Team Indio. And perhaps if the Mayor and City Council want to join us down here to greet these wonderful individuals. Not just as a city manager, but as a resident of Indio, I'm very proud of the team that we have been assembling over time, and these are the newest members because they serve us day in and day out, helping to make Indio an even better community, being polite and professional in all that they do. And we've got these new members here that we want to make sure as we present to the City Council and to the community here that you can recognize them. Not all that we have brought on recently were able to be here, but as I call your name, please come forward. We do have a swag bag. We know some of our officers already received, but some of these others have not yet. Within the bag is a welcome kit from Team Indio. So let's start off first. Jorge Castro is a facility maintenance worker. Ana Cordero, she's a receptionist here at City Hall. Shake everybody's hand.
Yeah,
There we go.
we're going to take your picture at the end. Welcome, Ana.
We're going to make a big group photo here. So great. Jesus Suarez in our IT department. There he is. There he comes. Alyssa Romero, a dispatcher. Right here. Michelle Young-Fong, Code Enforcement
Lisa.
Office Assistant.
What department?
got some in uniform this evening. It's good to see you again. Police officer trainee Anthony Bravo. Police officer trainee Jesus Correa. Police officer trainee Anderson Lopez. Trainee Omar Moreno. Yeah, maybe we need to go on the other side now. And Eugenio Santos. It's good to see you again. Nice. Yeah, so we're gonna have to make a nice, good team photo here.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Are these young gentlemen all the ones that came out of the academy?
they're
just came out?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I don't know where you're going to put all these employees.
We're building space for it. We're building space for it. As long as he's here, we want to make another special announcement. He's not very new to the organization, but we have a new lieutenant within the police department, Lieutenant Longoria. If you want to come forward.
Yay!
We're going to help you feel new.
Congratulations.
I think it's some of the stripes off the uniform. Great. So again, I present these wonderful men and women that are serving us here in our community to the city, the mayor and city council. Please continue to honor them as you see them out and about working hard. We don't always get the thank yous that we deserve, but I'll tell you, this is a great team, and I'm pleased to be the city manager and work with these wonderful people. But Mayor, I don't know if you have a couple words.
Well, you are here at the right time. This is the right place and the right time because the city of Indio has so much and so many exciting things coming on. And you are going to be kind of at the ground level with the new residents, all of the new businesses, and everything that's to come. So you are the future. I'm the past for sure. But welcome to each and every one of you, and we thank you for your service to the city of Indio.
Welcome. Welcome to the family. You guys said it all. Yep, we're good.
Oh, they're good. So group photo, you got to come in front of us. In front of us, semicircle, except for the tall person.
Come on.
No one has to sit on the floor.
We got it. Yeah, we're good.
We'll take a couple of these. 1, 2, 3. Big smile. Team India.
Give them a big hand.
Thank you. Thank you, City Manager. We will move on to item 6, Youth Advisory Council. This evening we have a report. Would you like to share anything with us?
Yeah.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Talia Randolph, and I'm a senior at South Hills High School, and I'm also the treasurer for YAC. Since the last time YAC has attended a City Council meeting, we had a street cleanup outside of the Teen Center, and we also decided a definite date to volunteer at the Animal Samaritan Center. After YAC, Animal Safety course through Animal Samaritan Center. And with that, I conclude my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, last City Council meeting, I looked out in the audience, and I thought I was seeing double because I saw 2 girls with 2 little pigtails, just like I see one girl today. So are you related?
Yeah, we're twins.
Okay. Well, welcome, and we are very happy that you're here with us, and thank you all for being here with us this evening. Moving on to the next item, item number 7, City Manager Reports and Information.
Thank you, Mayor. There's a lot going on downtown, but we want to remind the residents of Food Truck Friday. Every Friday's here on the lot just across the street on Bliss in Towne. That's at 5 o'clock through 9 p.m. Every Friday. Saturday, we have the farmers market starting at 10 a.m. through 2. And this Saturday, we have our second Saturday concert, free concert downtown starting at 6 o'clock here on Smurr and Miles. New businesses opening up, a lot going on, new buildings under construction. So come be a part of it this Friday and Saturday. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. Moving on our agenda, item number 7, report on City Council external internal boards, commissions, and committee meetings, and report on meetings attended per Government Code Section 53232.3D. Councilmember Furman, would you like to start?
Sure. Be a brief report. I have some activities and things that I attended. One was our first cannabis retail store that opened right down the street, Embark. We went to the ribbon cutting for that. Congratulations to them. It was the first one in our city. A lot of work went on getting to where we're at there, so congratulations to everyone for that. Also attended the ribbon cutting for the College of the Desert Child Development Center, which was great. We had a lot of folks downtown, and so really, really nice state-of-the-art facility for the students as well as the children who will be there. So congratulations to College of the Desert. Thank you for opening that downtown, and we're looking forward to more coming from them. Also attended the re-grand opening of Jackalope Ranch as well, so that was pretty fun. Got to see a lot of folks down there, so it seems like we've been bouncing around from groundbreaking to ribbon cutting every other week or day, so a lot happening in the city. And I would like to ask the council and city manager to bring an item to the council to rename a street in the city as Dr. Martin Luther King Street. Last year I brought it up. We got kind of busy, but I think it's worth a discussion. We talked about the new library. I understand a new library has been named, so I think it warrants a conversation with the council on the Martin Luther King Street in our community. So that'll conclude my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Furman. Councilmember Ortiz?
Thank you, Mayor. Last week I attended the Southern California Association of Governments Energy and Environment Committee. Staff there is currently working on a clean energy compendium, which puts together information regarding new products and new technologies in clean energy and transportation. This includes all types of vehicle and rail as well. We were reminded that 80% of NOx emissions come from transportation, and these emissions are toxic. They are what cause much of the smog and acid rain in our atmosphere, which can cause lung damage and respiratory problems. There are currently about 40,000 car chargers in the region. It's estimated we need to get to 1 million to keep up with the current demand by 2035. So it's a huge leap we have to make. Barriers to zero-emission vehicles still include high upfront costs, lack of needed infrastructure, limited model availability, and they cost on average $18,000 more than conventional vehicles. We're also working to update our white paper on water conservation in the region, including how we can include nature-based solutions like urban greening and native planting in that aspect. I also attended the Southern California Regional Council, where we had a public transportation panel with LA Metro, Imperial County Transportation Committee, MetroLink, and the California Transportation Authority. Some of the takeaways from the panel were that, one, we need to improve safety, cleanliness, and reliability to increase ridership in public transportation. We also need to be careful with how much we invest into zero-emission vehicles so we don't negatively affect other key aspects of public transportation. And third, creating easier, streamlined systems for payments and trip planning for customers. So, for example, one payment for all 3 buses or trains that might be needed for somebody's trip. I also attended 2 ribbon cuttings, one for COD and their new Child Development Center, which will serve 40 toddlers and 40 preschoolers and serve students and families in the area. It will also be used as a classroom for our upcoming teachers and daycare workers. We definitely want to thank them for bringing these services and new learning opportunities to our city. The second was the grand opening of Embark Indio, our first cannabis dispensary for our city. We want to congratulate them and wish them the best in their new business in downtown Indio. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ortiz. Councilmember Holmes?
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, I had the CVAG Transportation Commission meeting and a couple of
Recording in progress.
A couple of items of note. That's a good thing. It has to do with the planning for broadband implementation across all of Riverside County. And so we received an extensive presentation a few challenges along the way. Planning began at the county level in 2023, really looking to identify areas of need, partnering with some of the internet service providers. Currently, there's what they call the Affordable Connectivity Program, which is essentially a $30 subsidy per month. However, the challenge is that's a federal program that likely is going to end in the next few months. And the challenge then becomes, what do we do with the folks that are on that or receiving that subsidy? And I know that the county is working with the internet service providers on low-cost programs to be able to fill that gap. CVAG is also working on this broadband connectivity as well. They're working on their implementation plan, and so all of this is working, however, albeit a little bit slowly. I really wanted to take a minute and talk about Indio. Part of our strategic plan, the council decided that our fiber master plan was very, very important and that we needed to move forward and implement it. So I think I'm going to give a little bit of kudos to the city of Indio because that is in process of being implemented, and I think we're leaps and bounds ahead of both the county and CVAG. Another item of note for those of you, CV Link, right? It goes from Palm Springs to Coachella and a few additional places. And one of the challenges is that there were two cities that opted to not be a part of CV Link, which means you had to go around. Well, Rancho Mirage is now on board. That's really good to hear. It took one of the new council members really worked with their fellow council members and staff and whatnot so that they now have are allowing CV Link through their community. So I think that's a really good thing. Again, you'll hear this. This is such a defining moment in the city of Indio. It's something we've been waiting for, which is the College of the Desert Child Development Center. Also attended the ribbon cutting. We all did. I think it's really a wonderful moment for our community, for our kids, for our students, and a wonderful way to serve our community. Also attended the Jackalope grand opening. It was nice to see that. I've been there several times. And, for those of you that haven't been, I highly recommend it. The food is great. The service is great. And it's really nice to have them back. It's a beautiful piece of property and a beautiful facility. It also has wonderful grounds for special events. Attended the Southwest Arts Festival put on by the Chamber of Commerce, Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce. That was a wonderful way over the weekend to spend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And something fun that I got to do, and I got to do it with one of our employees, Karina Campos, just an amazing, awesome young lady, is we were invited to Amistad High School to speak for Career Day. And that was just a blast. It was wonderful. We actually had several students, I'd say a couple of dozen, perhaps, maybe that much, and it was part of their investment, it was their investment class. And so we had the chance to talk to them about our career paths and potential, ways to look forward to your career, steps that we need to take, show up, be interested, and our own personal stories about how we got to where we are. And it was just really a delight to be there with Karina, and really always great to work with the kids. So that was a lot of fun. And that is it for the moment. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had two committees that were active. One was Sunline Transit Agency. A lot of the highlights there was the new routes that we put in place to take down some of the head times, which are the times it takes between routes to get from bus stop to bus stop. The new system they put in place has worked a little bit better, but we're still down a few buses. So we agreed to buy some RTA buses from Riverside, CNG buses, 15 of them, to help with our fleet so we can get the head times down a little bit even more so more people can utilize the buses. And they will be coming in very shortly, and we'll be wrapping them with the Sunline Transit Agency logos and getting them on the streets as soon as possible to help with the transportation. And then we went into agreement with the city of Coachella on a property that we're leasing from them to be able to put a bus stop over where they have their new transportation hub and their affordable housing unit off of Harrison there. So good opportunity for the city of Coachella to work with Sunline, and we're looking forward to that opening up. Did the Desert Sands Unified School District 2x2 along with staff and the mayor on what's going on with Desert Sands Unified School District. They have some issues with security, trying to make sure that they have the proper security in place for our high schools and middle schools, working with our chief to be able to come up with the best plan for that and make sure it's affordable for everyone. And then also they have Measure A coming up, which is their bond measure, which is a little over $600 million to utilize services to upgrade the infrastructure there at all the schools. And Indio is a high priority for them, having the most schools in Desert Sands Unified School District. And then lastly, besides the ribbon cuttings, congratulations to Jackalope Branch, Embark, and College of the Desert on the ribbon cuttings and their opportunities to be here in the city of Indio and for us to be able to utilize their services. We appreciate their investment in our community. But lastly, I was also at the Southwest Arts Festival. If you haven't been to the Polo Ground, please go down there. A lot of things happening. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that it's more than just concerts. It's art festivals, it's opportunities, dog shows, and everything else. The concerts will be coming up. We'll be having some traffic here shortly. But just this last week, they had the Southwest Arts Festival, and they also at the El Dorado Polo Club, they had the Balloon and Polo Festival where they came out, hosted by the Agua Caliente, where they brought out a couple teams to the community and let them go out there and see what it was like to be a polo pony rider and was able to engage with the community. So that was great to see. And up next is Major League Soccer. At the end of this week, they'll start having all the Major League Soccer teams come in to play exhibitions and also preseason games at the Polo Club for the next 2 weeks. So come on down to the city. Don't forget our Fridays food trucks and also our fresh farmers market on Saturdays. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Ortiz.
Just one question on Measure A. When is that going to be on the ballot? This one? In the primary? Okay, thanks.
As you can tell, there's a lot happening in the city of Indio, and just it's the season. So whether you're looking for something to do on your own, with a friend, or with your family, there's plenty to do. I don't know if the Tour de Palm Springs coming through Indio this year, but they too are coming up. So lots to do. Hopefully you can find out information on online, but plenty of community opportunities. I had no committees or commissions to report on, so we'll move on to item number 9, which is the nomination of Councilmember Wayman Furman to appoint John Prudhomme to the Public Arts Commission. Mayor Furman, Councilmember Furman, would you like to say a few words?
I'll take that. Thank you, Madam Mayor. You know, the art commissioner spot for my appointee came open, and we accepted a couple of applications. And John's extensive background in art and the direction we're going in the city with our public arts, and especially downtown. I just had a brief chatter with the city manager that our downtown area is becoming an art hub, which is great. Art really activies a community, and I think John will be a great addition to Team Indio. So just no further. I'd like to make the recommendation to ratify the appointment by myself to the Public Arts Commission to fill one vacancy consisting of an unexpired term through December 2026.
We have a motion by Councilmember Furman and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. If there's no further discussion, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I think John's here.
Yeah,
Are you here?
Yeah, he's here.
Yeah.
Oh, did I butcher your last name, John? Would you want to come up and introduce yourself?
Got to come up.
Yeah.
Because you've got to say your last name for us.
Prudhomme. Prudhomme.
My last name is Prudhomme. Yes, Prudhomme. And don't worry about it, because my dad was on submarines for 23 years, and when I went to Navy Hospital as a kid, when they had to call my name, I had the shakes, because they didn't know how. Thank you, Mr. Furman. I'm looking forward to this, and love the city of Indio. Been here 4 or 5 years. I grew up in Carlsbad, and let's get to work.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Next item is item number 10, consent calendar. This consent calendar items are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion unless someone wants to pull any items. Are there any recusals or requests to pull an item? Hearing none. Ordinance, the reading of text ordinances is waived and ordinances are adopted as second reading by title only. Public requests to discuss consent calendar items must be filed with the city clerk before the consent calendar is called. This is the time for any member of the public wishing to speak on a consent calendar item to do so. Any member of the public wishing to speak shall have a total of 3 minutes to address any items on the agenda. Are there any requests to speak on the consent calendar? Having none brought forward, we will consider the consent calendar in its entirety.
I will make a motion to accept consent calendars presented 10.1 through 10.9.
And I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Miller and a second by Councilmember Holmes. If there be no further discussion, please cast your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Administrative items, 11.1, resolution, amendment of resolution number 10411, calling for a peaceful resolution to the Israel-Palestine conflict and condemning any and all acts of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. City Manager, would you have a report?
Just briefly, Mayor, thank you. As the staff report indicates, in December, the City Council unanimously adopted a resolution. It had some element of controversy, and many felt like it was something that the City Council, first of all, should not address, or addressed in a way that was not unbiased or not taking sides. So at our last council meeting, it was discussed to submit an amended resolution that more clearly moved things to the center, not taking sides again on a matter that's not within the jurisdiction or within a role that the City Council plays. So what you see is an attempt to bring things back to the middle, so to speak, in condemning violence, hoping for a peaceful conflict, and condemning both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. I know council members have met and discussed with those that might have opinions on both sides of the matter, but I believe what is presented is, in an amendment form, is the best approach to state what the council truly believes and not trying to take sides or offend anyone at any point. So the recommendation, council, is to adopt the amended resolution that you see in red lines. It would be cleaned up, obviously, for submittal if approved, and that the city clerk administrator merely replace the one that you adopted back in December with what you adopt this evening. So that is our recommendation.
Now, for clarification, it's hoping for a peaceful resolution, not a peaceful conflict.
Oh, certainly. We don't want people. That's, yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, do we have any questions of staff on this item? No, hearing no questions of staff, we do have some requests to speak. Each request to speak will be allowed 3 minutes on the computer monitor. Let me just count how many. Okay. So we have less than 10. I will accept what I have as the speakers for this item. Any beyond will be taken later in the agenda. Our first request to speak, Ms. Marcia Stein.
Mayor Pro Tem, City Council people, I'm really pleased to be here. I live in Rancho Mirage, not Indio, but I love the city. I'm here to speak just a minute about anti-Semitism and about this resolution. I represent Stand With Us, which is an organization that stands up against anti-Semitism, and we really do have facts, not opinions about what's going on, and it concerns me that Hamas has been so brutal, and Israel is always looking for peaceful ways, even though people may not think so. They always look for peaceful resolutions, so hopefully that's what we will have in this final version. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stein, for joining us this evening. Our next request to speak, and please forgive me ahead of time for not pronouncing the names correctly, Hamza Al-Kiswani.
Hi, my name is Hamza. I want to talk about the hypocrisy of the apartheid state. the hypocrisy of the apartheid state and how it portrays Muslims and Zionists is like day and night. Contrary to the portrayal of Muslims as terrorists, Islam is a religion that promotes peace, ethical conduct, and justice, even in warfare. The ongoing tyranny of the apartheid state in Gaza is a stark contrast between the principles of warfare in Islam and its actions. Islam explicitly prohibits harm to non-combatants, ensuring the safety of women, children, and the elderly, and forbids acts of treachery and mutilation. The sanctity of human life and the dignity of all individuals are an important part of Islamic ethics. The conduct of wars in Islam is governed by principles that emphasize honor, mercy, and the preservation of civilian life. Instructions given by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions to their armies underscored the prohibition against harming civilians, destroying property, and unnecessary destruction of the environment. The situation in Palestine and the suffering of its people under siege, with nearly 30,000 civilians killed since October 7th, not including the 75 years of oppression before that. This shows how the Zionist government and its supporters only follow their values of human rights when it fits their evil agenda. This shows the hypocrisy of the actual true values of Islam and how Muslims are being portrayed compared to how they portray themselves versus how they truly act. This is not a war, but rather a genocide against the Palestinian civilians. Thank you.
Excuse me, we must remain quiet in the chamber so that we can conduct our business. I appreciate your cooperation, and thank you, Mr. Al-Kiswani. Our next speaker is Lona Ray, or Ayana Ray. Was it an L or an I? Lana? Oh, that was easy. Welcome.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lana Al-Kiswani. I would like to begin by expressing on behalf of the people with humanity here in Indio our gratitude for the re-evaluation of the biased resolution 10411. However, the visceral Palestinian blood of my ancestors that courses through my veins compels me to inform the Council and the citizens attending this meeting about the atrocities that have occurred in Gaza and in Palestine as a whole within the past 48 days. On December 20th, the number of civilian casualties in Gaza was 19,000. Today, that horrific number has reached almost 27,600 innocent lives. While this council debated whether their lives are disposable or not, our families were being brutally mutilated, our children orphaned, and our men were searching for whatever remains of their families beneath the rubble. During the time it took for this council to decide whether it is appropriate to condemn the monstrosities occurring in the land whose name I proudly wear on a chain around my neck, a land whose ground God knows whether I will ever have a chance to step foot in, around 45,000 missiles and bombs buried thousands of innocent babies, mothers, daughters, fathers, and sons beneath buildings. While we went to Costco to buy groceries, 3/4 of all buildings in the northern Gaza Strip were being destroyed. How can I possibly complain about feeling thirsty when forcibly displaced Palestinian mothers have absolutely nothing to feed their month-old babies? How can I feel uncomfortable about a few unsettling stares because of the hijab that I wear when women in Gaza cannot experience the safety and comforts of their own homes and are forced to wear their hijabs to bed in fear of being attacked during the night? How can anyone in good conscience classify the deaths of nearly 28,000 innocents as collateral damage? To call these war crimes a clash or a conflict is belittling. This is genocide, imperialism, and ethnic cleansing. Allow me to be clear. Zionism is not Judaism. Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism, and anyone opposing the apartheid state of Israel is by no means attempting to cause any harm to Jewish people. Opposing Israel is simply opposing the mass murder of innocent civilians and children, apartheid, systematic racism, and the destruction of homes and buildings where indigenous people reside. 50 Palestinian families have been erased from the Gaza civil registry, entire bloodlines wiped out. Israel has dropped over 66,000 tons of explosives in Gaza since October 7th, which is more than the amount that the U.S. dropped in Afghanistan within a year. Yet the world's silence is deafening. You and I have the privilege of turning away from their fearful eyes and their bloodied hands as we turn off our phones. That privilege and that peace that we take for granted has been ripped away from the Palestinian citizens since 1948. They cannot simply turn it off. The videos that make my tears flow and my gut churn are occurring in front of their lenses while the entire city, while the entire world sits idly by watching the most documented genocide in history unfold as if it were merely a movie. I am a daughter of the land of Palestine. The mere accent of Arabic that I speak and the remnants of my grandparents' home in Jerusalem reassure me of this inalienable resolution or decree.
Thank you, Lana. Excuse me, please. We do need to have decorum, and if you would please respect the process so that we can conduct our business. Our next request to speak, Mr. Josh Dunn.
I'll keep it brief so that other people can speak. When you're in leadership, you have to have certain qualities in order to actually do that job. You have to have objectivity, you have to have a self-critical eye, and you have to have a well-informed perspective. If you don't have all those things, you can't do the job, at least not effectively. If you want to create a synergy between government and between people and affect the way that this city, not only by one another, but by the rest of the world who looks at this city, as you may know, then you have to have those qualities. Objectivity, self-critical eye, and a well-informed perspective when you make your decisions in order to make the decisions that are best for the city and the people that live here.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Our next request to speak, Darren Barbarian. Darren Barbarian. Salam Adelamli. Welcome.
Hello. First off, I want to thank Councilmember Ortiz and Councilmember Bryan. They worked with me to try and fix the resolution that the city had passed. I had a chance to sit down with Councilmember Holmes and Miller, where I voiced my concern about the problems with the resolution that had passed, and I left that meeting feeling hopeful, seeing that the city was on our side, and that hope was shattered after seeing this resolution that you guys decided to pass. Willful ignorance is not an excuse for this resolution that you guys have passed. Like Josh Dunn said, you guys are leaders and it's your due diligence, it's your job to do your due diligence. Last meeting, Mayor Ameth, you looked me in my face and told me you didn't know where Palestine was, which honestly, I know is a lie. I know you know exactly where it is, and you're just trying to dehumanize us. And honestly, as our mayor, that's unacceptable. I really thought after that meeting, it was the start of a beautiful relationship with the city to work together. But now I'll take my efforts to try to remove you guys from the board, because you sit there under the guise as public servants, when in reality, all you do is take turns receiving donations from the like of Chandi, Burr, Hagen, car dealerships, saying that you're helping the city, when honestly, you're just helping yourselves. Thank you.
Abdul Halim. Mr. Jonathan Becerra.
Good evening, Council, Madam Mayor. My name is Jonathan Becerra. I'm a local resident of the City of Indio, taxpayer and resident. I just want to kind of state, in kind of a response to a sentiment, that the people of Indio also operate in facts and that we are educated and able to think logically and generate informed opinions as well. I want to commend the leadership, specifically Council Members Furman and Ortiz, for hearing the community last time and knowing that we need to address this issue further and more clearly. With that being said, we're kind of at a point where we should be publicly calling for a ceasefire. The amount of atrocities, the amount of war crimes going on against the Palestinian people warrant us publicly acknowledging genocide, publicly acknowledging war crimes going on there. It's kind of a really low bar for me as a citizen and a taxpayer to kind of just have to see my leadership not understand that that's what's going on, or at least not publicly express that they understand that's what's going on. Further, I think it's generally concerning for me as someone who votes locally to see leadership get attacked on so many levels just for speaking out and talking their truth against war crimes. So I really want to commend Councilmember Ortiz for really taking leadership and taking slack for speaking out truth to what I see as a very atrocious situation going on against the people of Palestine. I'll leave my comments there, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra. That is the last request to speak I have, so I will continue on with council
Mayor?
deliberation.
The resolution is fairly short. Is it all right if I read some of these sections? I think
Go
it
ahead.
might be helpful. The resolution relates to, it mentions that on December 20th, another resolution was adopted. This is amended. And it says, whereas the City Council of the City of Indio mourns the loss of innocent lives in Israel, in Palestine, and in the occupied territories. The City Council is committed to promoting peace, justice, and security for all people, regardless of their nationality or religion. And whereas the conflict in Israel, Palestine, and in the occupied territories has impacted both Israeli Jews and Arabs, undermining the peaceful coexistence and harmony that must undergird any resolution to the ongoing political conflict. And whereas the City Council denounces any war crimes committed during the Palestine-Israeli conflict, and whereas violence and terrorism are not justified as means to achieve political goals, dialogue, negotiation, and peaceful resolutions are the only viable paths towards lasting peace and stability. Whereas the City Council supports the provision of water, food, fuel, humanitarian aid, and essential health care to the citizens of Gaza. And whereas the City Council supports the values of freedom, democracy, human rights, and efforts to protect the citizens from acts of terrorism, the City Council acknowledges the suffering and loss experienced by innocent Palestinians in the ongoing conflict, and believes that a just and lasting peace can only be achieved through a negotiated settlement that respects the rights and national aspirations of both Israelis and Palestinians. The City Council affirms the inalienable rights enshrined in our nation's Constitution. It strongly believes that by ensuring these rights for all, a peaceful and just resolution to the ongoing Israel-Palestinian conflict can be achieved. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Indio hereby amends Resolution 10411 and calls for a peaceful resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and condemns any and all acts of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia.
Thank you, City Manager. And while you were reading that, City Clerk, would you please note that the fifth whereas, the fifth word should be City of Indio. Insert City of Indio before denounces. Council, what is your pleasure?
I just, first of all, just want to thank our community for showing up and giving us their input for the past two meetings that we've discussed the issue. And also a thank you to our staff and our other council members for being open-minded. The first resolution we did feel was very one-sided. And now, we've gotten to a better resolution now. I think, I've gotten calls from both sides of the issue requesting additional language or certain fixes to this resolution. But I think as it stands now, it is a cohesive message that we as a council can agree on and push forward. And it's a peaceful message, and it's a calling for peace for both, Israelis and Palestinians, both here at home and abroad. And so I'm thankful for these amendments. I know, there's certain people who aren't going to be agreeing with this, but I think it is a message that we can agree on here as a council and push forward in something that can bring more understanding and peace to our community. So just want to say thank you for that.
And anyone wants to make a motion or any further
I
comments?
still have some comments, Madam Mayor. First of all, I appreciate the community working with our staff to try to come to a peaceful, fair resolution. And I believe in times of uncertainty, it's vital to foster dialogue about peace, unity within our communities. And I hope we continue these conversations and hold space for prayers, fostering empathy, and understanding more of a harmonious world. However, the primary responsibility lies with our national and international actors. Cities should focus on promoting understanding, tolerance, and peaceful existence within our communities. I acknowledge what's happening, and it involves and recognizing that peace, justice, and human rights should remain on the forefront. And I hope for peace for the Muslim community, the Jewish community, all over the world. And it's important that we denounce any type of Islamophobia, any type of anti-Semitism, and any type of hate and racism against anyone. I've been hearing you have to take a side. I also heard it today, and I've heard Mr. Dunn say some, we're not supposed to respond to speakers, but Mr. Dunn made some good points, and I appreciate that. I've also talked to a lot of residents in our city, and they asked me, why did you guys get into this? You should be focusing on the homeless community in our streets, public safety, infrastructure, and support your community while they're going through tough times. And I listened to everyone. I apologize if I didn't get a chance to talk to more of you. But at this point, I feel that this resolution doesn't make the goal that we were trying to achieve. And quite frankly, I believe it's going to be hard for us to do that because I don't believe that lies on this dais. I don't think that's our responsibility. What I do believe is earlier on we became really emotional and we made decisions off our emotions to move forward with a resolution. So I don't think that's our place. I think that was a mistake on our part. It's okay to acknowledge it as individuals. It's okay to work with the community. It's okay to hold candlelight visuals. I'll stand next to you. But I really think this dais is to do the people's work of Indio and our communities. So I'd like to make a separate motion, Mayor, to table this because I don't think it meets the goal of what we're trying to achieve.
So table till a date certain, or what?
Yeah, I think we should table it until we could come up with conversation that is meaningful. I don't think this meets the goal of what we're trying to do here. And quite frankly, like I said, I don't think this is where we should be at as a council.
Mayor?
City Manager.
One option, I'm not sure it's exactly what the councilman indicated, and it wasn't articulated in the staff report, but one of your options obviously is to rescind in its entirety the last resolution, to pretend like it didn't ever happen. I'm not sure we're going to please either side with continued dialogue here. Certainly there could be forums held for that, but I'm not sure the council dais is the right place for that. So I guess I would propose another alternative. If this resolution that tried to move things in the middle, another option is just to merely rescind the previous resolution as if it never happened.
I would. That's. Thank you, City Manager. I don't think that we're going to be able to accomplish that here, and so I would make a motion to rescind the resolution.
Okay, so we have an alternative motion on the table to rescind the original resolution number 10. Where is it? 10411. Is there a second to that motion? Hearing none, the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we're going to have discussion then. Thank you. So there is a motion on the floor from Councilmember Furman, second by Councilmember Holmes. Council discussion.
Madam Mayor, I don't think our intention was to be where we are today. Our idea was not to pick sides. we're here to be inclusive for everyone. And when you have the individuals here today that are talking about what's important to them, which is peace and hoping that there's a conflict that gets resolved in a peaceful manner, I don't see that emotions aren't running high. And I think this council jumped in a little quicker than what we probably should have. I think we did it on motion. I agree with Councilmember Furman. And I agree that everybody's welcome here. And I think that this dais needs to worry about what we have jurisdiction over, which is our public safety, which is our city, is making sure that we have economics, that we're cleaning streets, and not getting involved in international affairs that we have no control over. It's a tragedy. This whole thing is a tragedy. Around the world we have conflicts going on, but this dais doesn't have the jurisdiction to make a difference other than our personal opinions, and that's where it needs to stay. So I would concur with Councilmember Furman that we rescind it or we look at something else.
I would, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I would disagree that, you know, the words that we share here do not have an impact on these matters. You know, we have connections here with our Congress member. He has connections with our president and other Congress members. The things that we share here travel through to those people and do impact the future of our country and the way we handle these things. This does impact, you know, when we started going into this conflict, one of the reasons that I did jump in very early and start talking about this was because our soldiers here, our local, you know, service members here are impacted by this as well. Our military families are impacted as well. The families of our Palestinian families and Israeli families are impacted here. And so I would disagree with the notion that what we do here and what we acknowledge here on this council does not have an impact on the future of our communities. I think it's an important message. You know, one of the things that I keep seeing when we talk to our youth is that they don't know where to turn because none of the leadership is willing to speak on this matter. And when we speak to them about this and try to explain some of these things, they're grateful that they have someone to look up to talk about these issues that won't just ignore what's going on overseas. And so I will stick with my sense that we should pass this resolution that acknowledges the losses of these families and these parts of our communities and pushes for a peaceful resolution to what's going on overseas.
Is there, Councilmember Holmes?
I just, you know, I think we are all trying to tie this together. I concur with our desire for a peaceful resolution. I concur with the tragedy that is existing around the world. But I think we do need to talk about what our city needs to do and what we do for our community and for our citizens. We need to get back to city business. We are a city that embraces all, that wishes to unify all, wishes to provide and present our harmonious relationship with our residents, and I think the best thing to do is to pull back. I would agree with this and go back to, and we had another resolution that really discussed the fact that we embrace all. We do not we do not discriminate or to anyone at any point in time. Our goal as a city, again, is to embrace the community and to do the things that a city is chartered to do. And that's all I have to say, Mayor.
Thank you. Any further comments? If not, don't worry, Yak. I'm gonna let you go after this. Okay. No, I was talking to the Yak. If there be no further comments from the council, we will cast your vote electronic. We will take a 15-minute recess.
What are we voting
We are voting on the rescinding of 10411. So the motion to rescind has passed, and we will take a 15-minute break. Thank you, everyone, for allowing us the courtesy of taking a little break there. We're going to continue on our agenda with item number 11.2, Shields Park Project. We're going to select a finalist for the Shields Park Project and authorize the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and finalize the term of any agreement between the city and the selected artist with a total budget not to exceed $100,000. Ms. Nambar.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Leila Nambar, your public arts analyst. As you mentioned, this project is to pick up, to select the final artwork for the Shields Park project. This image here is Shields Park project from the view from the CV link. So the Shields Park is located, when you look at the top portion, is located north of Avenue 46 per se, and also east of the Wash. And then right by that black line, currently there is the CV link path. And on the south part, you see the grass area that we're talking about. Currently, it's just grass with a great walking basically walkway around it, some picnic bench and desks. We sent, which was our fourth RFP out between September 20th and October 23rd. We received 16 proposals. The Arts Commission in two process narrowed it down first to the 5 and then to the 2, which is Mark Walchik and Christopher Fennell, that you will see their work tonight. So these are Christopher Fennell's past work. He works with metal, creates familiar shapes, but in an unusual way. As you can see here, flowers and leaves, but they are very in unusual way. His proposal is to create this tall sculpture, which the bottom part is about 10 feet tall, and then the top, which looks like an arc, it will hold bikes with shape of animals, and it's, according to him, it's a hipster bike inspired by animals. You can see here on the color version, it is whimsical, unusual, fun. It's relevant to the CV link. It will be visible from CV link if we put in any area of the park. And those are individual animals that they're biking. The second one is from Mark Walchik, Walchik. So again, he's proposing to put one sculpture. If you see 6, because from each angle or each point of view, you see different wording, and the wording could be anything that the city would like to see. So these are some of the wordings that he chose for that sculpture. This is a video of what he's proposing. Oops. Let me see if I can get this. No. May I ask the IT to play the video?
While they're doing that, what's it made of?
It's made of metal, and then it is on a concrete pilaster. But on the video that he created is, it also puts some colors on each of those metal panels. So the colors, now from each angle, you see different words and different colors. There should be a video. All right, sorry about that. So both pieces are worthy of putting in this park. So staff would like to know what is the choice of the council, and we would like to recommend to select a finalist for this project and authorize the city manager and the city attorney to finalize the contract for the total budget of not exceeding $100,000. That will conclude my staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Dunbar. Do we have any questions of staff at this time?
I have one.
Go ahead.
For the Christopher Fennel one, would we be able to request that they use animals that are from this region?
Sure, we can, because this is still
A snake, a turtle, a rabbit? A French-toed lizard?
That's a good point. Any animal in the living desert could be used, considered.
Did the Arts Commission have a preference?
No.
Any other questions of Ms. Dunbar? Then what is council's preference or pleasure?
I like the first one. It's kind of just like you're looking at it from all different directions, but if you don't want to walk that way, you're not going to see anything. It'd be interesting to see how the light is going through it, how it would affect you looking at it different ways from the cuts in it. So I think the other one just kind of stands out, kind of a nice little touch to it.
It's more family-oriented.
Yeah, family-oriented, more
colorful,
more characters, more color.
Yeah.
So I'm
Whimsical.
good with the first
Yeah,
one.
I like the first one.
Yeah, I like Fennel.
I think it gives us opportunity too to acknowledge our city, whether it's tribes or community members, to put them in their Indio and start talking about our mission statement. I think that's.
They're talking about the animal one.
Oh, I'm not talking about the element one. I'm talking about the.
The second one?
Is that the? No, that's the first one.
The second one. The second one has words.
That's the one we're talking about.
Oh, I'm talking about the second one. I like.
Yeah, the second one has words.
Yeah, I like the second one. It just said attachment 1, so I thought it was the first one.
So, do we have 3 for the animals and 1 for the words?
That's how I look at it.
That's how the consensus falls.
3-1.
That's how the dominoes fall.
Well, that's only 4. What about, there's 5 of us on this one.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good
You're
with the
okay with either
animals.
one?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
I think it would be pretty easy for, like the cheetah, they could just do a mountain lion instead, right? Or if there's a bird that we can
Coyote.
use. Coyote, yeah.
We have a big dog. We have dogs at the park.
We have gophers.
I just think the
We got
other one
a
has such
dinosaur
much
turtle.
color, it's bright,
Yeah,
brings out
yeah.
things. It's hot,
Yeah.
it's higher. It just has a lot of pop to it, I think, compared to the other one. The other one's a nice piece.
We
It
got a
just
lot of
doesn't-
color around the city. I like the other one.
Yeah.
But believe in our democracy. It is.
Okay, so it's the animals up on a stick.
Probably need a motion just so it authorizes us
Okay, so
to.
authorize the money,
I'll motion to authorize,
$100,000.
authorize to select Christopher Fennel as a finalist for the Shields Park project and authorize the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and finalize the terms of any agreement between the city and the selected artist with a total budget not exceeding $100,000.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilmember Ortiz, second by Mayor Pro Tem Miller. There be no further discussion electronically. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to 11.3, Resolution 10428, approve the deferral of certain city development impact fees in a residual cash receipts loan between the City of Indio and Pacific West Communities, Inc. to support the provision of required electrical infrastructure for the Arroyo Crossing Affordable Housing Project, Phase 1 and 2, located southwest of the intersection of Jefferson Street and Highway 111, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to prepare and execute the necessary loan agreement documents. Mr. Schneider, we haven't heard from you all night.
Saving the best for last. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. So this evening, as the Mayor indicated, staff is coming before you for your consideration of a potential request for deferral of development impact fees. And I'm going to explain why. But first of all, just to kind of orient you, this is the Arroyo Crossing project that is currently going up on Jefferson Street southwest of Highway 111. It is one of the first large-scale affordable housing projects in the city, and they got approvals several years ago and have been working diligently on bringing the project to fruition to provide affordable housing to Indio residents and other qualified applicants. So to put it in the vernacular, they hit a snag. And that snag is a result of a kind of out of a left field, unfortunately, situation. So they have been working to acquire electrical service for their development. And in doing that, they were notified by Imperial Irrigation District that they needed to extend an electrical service line to serve the development. Fairly common practice. What was the out of the left field part is that to do that is approximately $2.5 million. In putting the project together, going through the financing process, which this city participated in because we held the TEFRA hearing for the California Municipal Finance Authority, they did not anticipate a cost of that amount. That has resulted in them looking at different ways to address this additional cost, and so they have come to the city, along with others, and I'll explain that in a minute, to seek assistance. And that assistance is approximately $1.67 million that would help offset the cost that I just mentioned. So to remind you, again, this is the location, Jefferson Street, south of Highway 11. It's 2 phases. Phase 1 is 184 units. Phase 2 is 216. The entire project is being built at once, although initial residency would occur during Phase 1. Again, 400 units, total of 396 units would be rented. There'd be the remaining 4 would be property management units. And it is 100% affordable, and the populations, in terms of average median income that would be served are specified on the presentation, but this is intended to help individuals that are at the low to moderate to above moderate scale of income need. As you may be aware, the average median income in the city of Indio right now is about $68,000. So at less than 50% of that, you're looking at around $34,000 for an individual. So this definitely serves a need in the community, and this project, as I mentioned before, has gone through the entitlement process, has met all city obligations in terms of land use requirements and other requirements. So this map, I think, kind of tells the story. In order to get the electrical service to the property, they have to extend the electrical service line 1.68 miles. And that's $2.53 million to do that. So the current substation that they would extend that from is on Avenue 48. So in looking at that, they have identified potential funding scenario for that. One is to request $500,000 from Riverside County, which is being considered right now. The other is to request that $1.67 million from the city, and then they would contribute approximately $364,000 of their money. And again, when the applicant, or excuse me, the representative for Pacific West Community is here, he can explain in greater detail how they looked at this from a financing perspective. But I can tell you that the $2.53 million was substantially in excess of what they put into their project pro forma based on their experiences elsewhere. So it is one of these situations where it did again come out of left field. So in talking with the representative for Pacific West Communities and the leadership of Pacific West Communities, the city sought 2 considerations for the council's potential approval of this deferral loan agreement. And the first is a prioritization of rental activity for Indio residents. As you're aware, with the fair housing laws in the state of California and the federal fair housing laws, they cannot limit or in any way discriminate on it for individuals, but they can prioritize in the rental leasing activities for Indio residents, and so they've agreed to do that. The other thing that they've agreed to do as another consideration is, some of the council may be aware, the project abuts up against an existing single-family residential neighborhood to the south that's actually in the city of La Quinta. Concerns raised by residents in that subdivision about the impact of this project. There is a landscape plan that does show a reasonable amount of landscaping along that southern perimeter line that does meet city standards, but Pacific West Communities has offered to enhance that landscaping to address those concerns. And what you see on the screen is a representation of what they're proposing. We would work with them at the staff level if the council does approve this to ensure that the landscaping that goes in there is significant, provides a greater level of screening, and does seek to address some of the concerns about impacts from the development. So with that, we are recommending that you approve Resolution 10428 I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Again, Darren Barbarian with Pacific West Communities is here to answer any questions or provide any information that the council might want. Thank you.
Mr. Schneider, how do we know the 1.6 would be sufficient by the time this project gets in the ground?
So that's a great question, Mayor. Thank you. So in your packet, we were provided information from Pacific West Communities that included information from Imperial Irrigation District and a contractor that validated the $2.53 million. So assuming that there are no extreme delays, when talking with Darren, we do believe that those numbers are solid. Obviously, if we're a few years down the road, things can change, but they are eager to get this project done, get it electrified, and start getting residents into the property, hopefully sometime in 2024. So I think for right now, we're relatively secure with those numbers, but if there was a significant delay down the road, we might have to revisit them.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about any of us. I'm concerned about them over there in Imperial. What if there's some other snag, as you called it?
That's a great question. We understand that with this support, that Pacific West Communities, again, Mr. Bavarian can give you more detail, that this would help them get over that proverbial hump, and they would be able to do the necessary work. We would work with them, obviously, to acquire any encroachment permits, to do work in the right-of-way, but I believe, again, not speaking for Mr. Bavarian, but I believe they are ready to go with potential support from the city and the county to make this happen, and they were hoping to open sooner, and so they are very motivated to get this project open.
And one last question before I ask my colleagues. Inquiring minds in the whole area want to know how 400 cars are going to ingress and egress out of 3 little driveways.
That is an excellent question. So, and actually this week we had a resident come in and sit down with us and ask a number of questions. He was interested about the project as well. And so the project actually exceeds the parking requirements that the city established. There's approximately 620 parking spaces, so they're in excess of what was required. That meets both resident parking need and guest parking. So the parking that they are proposing on the site does qualify and does achieve what the city does require for on-site parking.
No. How are they going to get in and out of Jefferson?
Oh, you want to know how they're going to get in and out of there? I'm sorry.
Because they're only going to be allowed to go south, but how do 400 cars do that?
So they will be installing a signalized intersection.
Oh, where?
Yeah, so this will be, so if you are familiar with
the mobile home.
Exactly, it will be across the street from the main access into the site will be across from the mobile home park. There will be a signalized intersection there that will allow full turn movements, right and left. And then they will have further up on Jefferson Street, a right-in, right-out opportunity to turn into the project. And then further south on Jefferson, right before the project boundary ends, they will have another right-in, right-out opportunity.
And is there enough distance between the existing 49 signal and Highway 111 signal to do those 3 things?
Yes, our city engineer and our consultant traffic engineer worked with their traffic engineer to design it, and it does meet city spacing standards and warrants.
Okay, I know this is off topic, but this is very important and an answer that I don't think any of us have been able to provide up to now, and we've been hammered over that question. So, Mayor Pro Tem Miller?
So, Kevin, so when they come back, I love the screening of that, and I'll talk to him when he comes up, Darren when he comes up, but also you were talking about the signal light. So when does the main stuff come in where the people are going to actually see it? Because right now they see the houses, but you're talking signal light, which we didn't know.
Yeah.
At least I didn't know.
I didn't either.
And that's a major construction, but it's also a good point for people that are worried about what we're doing and how we put that there, especially as close as it was to the road. When are we going to come up with that, or when are we going to bring some of that other information out? Because it's just not our residents. It's people going to the concerts that I've talked about it. It's the people that live by there, the people that live across the street. If we didn't know about a street light, I wonder if anybody else does too, but it might ease some of the other people's concerns about how bad traffic's going to be and everything else going in. I'm still a little concerned about the turn-ins and turn-outs, unless it's going to be in a little bit, because that's a 55-plus street, and if somebody's turning, slows up and turns in, a lot of people go around people, and they're slowing up to turn in. I'm worried about somebody hitting the back of them. So
They're actually great questions. I'll start with the last one. with them on the design of the site. We made sure that in our world it's called queuing, that there was enough opportunity for vehicles to come off of the public right-of-way, get safely into the site without backing onto the public right-of-way. So we worked with them to make sure that would happen. So I believe from this, and I'm not the city engineer, but I was in the meetings where he felt satisfied that met the queuing standards of the city. The traffic signal will go in prior to phase one being open. So in order to access the property and meet the obligations of that signal will have to go in and be operational before we will allow residency in phase one to occur. So when I say they're eager to get in, and hopefully we'll do it sometime in 2024, as a precondition of getting into those units in 2024, that traffic signal will have to be installed.
Okay, and how long does a traffic signal like that take?
Well, boy, you're really pushing me. I'm getting out of my realm here. I might call on Mr. Wassel, but typically once the design is complete, typically traffic signal installations can take anywhere from say 45 to 90 days, depending on for example, traffic management, time of construction. Since Jefferson Street is our major artery on the city, we want to make sure that they don't cause unnecessary impact. So the initial construction period and then finalization, I would say probably you're looking, all told, when it's done and operational, I'm going to say probably in that 3 to 4 month range on average.
All right, thank you. I'll wait for Darren.
Yeah, that's right.
Councilmember Ortiz?
First question would be, when you say that our residents will be prioritized, I know there's always issues with the fair housing laws. Can you give us some more details on how they will be prioritized?
In your package, there's an exhibit to the resolution that actually contains the language that specifies how we will do that, and I'll let Mr. Bavarian give you the detail. But as you're correct, council member, we have to balance the fair housing laws without being discriminatory or in any way creating a negative impact on the leasing ability of individuals who are not residents of Indio. So what we worked with Mr. Bavarian and his team is to give that prioritization in the leasing process, the rental leasing process. We will, through whether it's advertisements or engagements, we will seek to have as much opportunity, or they will seek to have as much opportunity to engage with Indio residents. Qualifications are always based on standardized factors. So whether it's someone from Indio or someone from somewhere else, they all have to meet the same standardized requirements for leasing capability. And again, Mr. Bavarian can give you the details. But knowing, and actually we mirrored this, if the council does remember, Pacific West Communities came forward approximately about 9 months ago and worked with us on a similar agreement for the Avenue 44 Apartments project that they worked on. And we actually borrowed language from that. Now, because this project is further along than that one, Mr. Bavarian, we did tweak the language a little bit just to recognize that the different timing situation, but it's basically the same language.
Okay. Yeah, I would honestly like to see us carry that on to every affordable housing project that we have here and require, the advertisement for Indio residents. But I do have a second question,
sure.
And that would be, do we need to do anything to advocate for the funding from the county? Is there anything we can do to help in that sense?
Well, I've been in conversations with Michael Walsh, and this is going to go to the board for consideration later this month. We have, working with the city manager, we did write a letter of support, just that we were hopeful that the board would take this up under serious consideration and explain what this council was also going to be considering without obligating you to any decision. So I think at this point, Mr. Walsh, well, he certainly can't speak for the board. He believes it's a reasonable request. He believes that the situation is unique and that it will get a reasonably fair hearing from the board. So I think at this point we are good, but certainly if something changes, I'll work with the city manager to make sure that whatever decision the council takes tonight, if it's a positive decision, we will make sure Mr. Walsh knows that immediately so he can carry that information forward into the board's consideration.
And is that $500,000 a loan or a?
It would be a loan, okay. But it would not be the type of loan we're doing. It's a different. They have a different loan structure there, so it wouldn't be a residual cash receipts loan. It would be a different loan structure.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Furman.
Does Mr. Bavarian have anything to add? Because I'm ready to make a motion.
Yeah, surely. I did not. I'm also ready to make a motion, so.
Okay, Mr. Bavarian, would you like to speak?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you very much for hearing us tonight. Kevin did a fantastic job of explaining the scenario. You guys had a lot of questions. Traffic light, we just ordered the poles like literally last week. So that's all happening. That's all in process. The city of La Quinta approved the signal plans. I think the city of Indio approves the improvement plans, but La Quinta's already approved it. So it's all in motion. That's all happening. The language on the preference, so we did at least one person in the household either lives or works in the city of Indio, because there's a lot of people who work in the city of Indio that don't necessarily live here, and that opens up the world to the applicant list for the project. I forgot there was a few other questions, but to ask any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But to make this whole long story short is basically we've been working with IID for 2 years, and not one mention in 2 years, and I mean I have the stats, 30 plus meetings, you name it. And in August or September, they basically just came to us and said $2 million to connect electricity. And all of us, I mean, this isn't our first project. We have over 200 projects in the state of California. We've worked in almost every city. And I've asked some of my guys, and I said, what is our typical connection fees? Average across the board. What do we typically pay when we connect electricity? And it's anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000. So a $2.5 million, when they're completely silent, you get these will serves, and these will serves are, I mean, I don't know what you can really do with it, because it doesn't really mean much when that's the bill you receive 2 years later. We're about 3 months away from completing phase 1 and start occupying that site. And then we're about 5 to 6 months from second phase. So these are about to, completely be done. And, to have that at the 11th hour, how do we, figure that and put a contingency plan? I mean, that our whole construction contingency is not even $2.5 million, or, for at least a phase. So anyways, that's why we're here today. We really appreciate your help. The county's been in massive support, and, we feel confident they're gonna approve that as well. I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Just one final comment. The signal lights or the turnouts during April. So how does that fit into your schedule?
That's a very good one. I think they will be doing as much as they can, I guess, up until that point. Maybe there's
and then stop.
They talked about a temporary, I was in a conversation actually today. They were thinking about doing a temporary while they're building everything. They can do a temporary type of signal. I'm not too familiar with how that works, but maybe during that month that will be up. I'll make sure that they're aware. I'm sure they're aware. I'm just not intimately involved in that process.
Mayor Pro Tem.
So Darren, thank you for bringing that to us. So on the project itself, when do you anticipate you'll be bringing people in, starting to, bring applicants in and actually give them the opportunity to move in? So with the things you're talking, when do you start to power and how long will it take?
So we're expecting everything to be done in the first phase, just to C of O, the first building, in about 3 months. So people hopefully will start moving in about 3 months from now.
So you feel you'll have the light up, you'll have the
Yes.
power run, because that's quite a distance to run power.
Well, IID has committed in writing that they will power phase 1. As long as we commence the work on the line extension and the backbone upgrade on Avenue 48 Station, they have committed that. So I'm not worried about them powering first phase, but we need to do this work in order for that power to stay on and power phase 2.
So they're going to rob power from somewhere else for phase 1.
They said that it's because the winter months, it's not, the capacity is not
and then,
used.
in the meantime, you'll construct.
Right, we're going to be doing
for
the
phase
work,
2.
So we open that up for phase 2.
Okay.
A lot of construction.
A lot of construction. Yeah.
Right.
You must be sitting next to this guy too much.
We've had a lot of conversations. I've learned a lot over the last 6 months on this. I mean, I've learned a new lesson. And this is not just happening in Indio. We have projects in Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert. I mean, it's happening everywhere. So this is basically something that we really need to figure out from day one. We have Avenue 44. I have a will serve from them there. That project's going into financing in about 2 months from now. So, we know how to figure that out and, submit for financing with a plan in place, opposed to being 20 months into construction and then getting this bill. So now we're aware and we know what to do for that project.
Councilmember Furman?
Oh, I just want to add that, well, we've already ordered some equipment, so we wouldn't have that, hopefully wouldn't have those challenges in the future. But we do appreciate your work in bringing this to us. We know how important affordable housing is in our community. We have a lot of big senior community, veterans, families, doctors, nurses that need a roof over their head. So if there's no further, I'll move to approve resolution number 10428.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Councilmember Furman, a second by Councilmember Ortiz. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, cast your vote electronically. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for finding a peaceful resolution to the conflict, or a peaceful conflict to the resolution. Okay, moving on. Next item, 11.4, ordinance number 1807, amending Chapter 30 of the Indio Municipal Code related to the compensation of city council members pursuant to Senate Bill 329. Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. The compensation for city council members is set by the legislature of the state of California. They have not amended that compensation formula since 1984. The legislature, I guess, took pity on local public officials throughout the state, saying city council members have one of the hardest jobs in California government. They deal with a wide range of issues, from street maintenance to emergency response duties. And all too often they do this job with little financial compensation. No one runs for city council for the money, but low levels of pay make it harder for them to balance their careers and personal obligations with the calling to serve the community. In particular, some of the author was concerned that the low levels of compensation and the high demands on your time. I know that the public sees you here for 2 meetings per month, but as you all know, there's a significant more work that goes into being educated on these issues and your other obligations throughout the community. The legislature was concerned that the low level of compensation was dissuading individuals from running for public office because they essentially couldn't put all the time in necessary to do the job of a city council member, but also pay the rent, as it turns out. So this ordinance that I've drafted simply sets the compensation to the amount allowable by statute that's been approved by the legislature. I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
And they didn't take pity on all public officials, just the council?
Oh, not on city.
I'm sorry,
city
treasurers were
finance
left out of this.
directors, city treasurers.
Yes.
So this will be effective after the next election.
Yes. So the city council cannot increase its compensation immediately. We're required to go for the next election.
But it's for all members after the next election.
All members after the next
election. Not just those that are elected.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions?
I was just say, Rob, you're referencing like planning commissioners and no, or just
It was a
around.
selfish statement. City treasurer,
Yeah,
city
city
clerk,
people like that.
That's such
don't
an
apply to them.
important role, and we want to make sure our city treasurer.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. It is recommended that the city council take the following action: waive full reading and introduce the ordinance number 10807 by title only, and 2, direct the city manager to place second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1807 on the consent calendar for the next regularly scheduled city council meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, second by Councilmember Ortiz. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote electronically. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Graham.
Yes.
Item number 11.5, ordinance number 1808, amending Chapter 96 of the Indio Municipal Code related to regulation of city parks and facilities. Mr. Graham.
Yes, I was in an ordinance writing mood, as you can tell.
You had nothing else to do.
So we have ordinance number 1808 in front of us. This is revisions to the city's parks and facilities ordinance. The changes are summarized in the background information, but I'll give you the highlights. One of them is a removal of references to specific positions within the city and simply stating city manager or their designee. This has the additional benefit because of the recent agreement that has been entered into with Desert Recreation District. It allows the city manager to designate the general manager or their designee for the enforcement of some of these provisions. Additional language regarding to park hours. We've had certain instances where we've had maintenance and other obligations that we've had to conduct at parks. We want to have express authority for both the city manager to manage park hours as well as the police chief. There are also just over the last 2 years been several nuisance level issues, quality of life issues that have occurred at the parks, adults taking over children's playgrounds when they don't have a child in their presence, vandalism of irrigation systems and other water systems at the parks that have been addressed as well. So, and then the last one is we didn't have a prohibition on smoking or vaping within city parks, so that has been added. I did selfishly put in an exception to that for golf courses because smoking a cigar is oftentimes used on golf courses. I wanted to make sure that was that exception was included, lest the police chief feel obligated to cite me. That is all I have, unless there are any questions.
I thought the 10-foot rule for public facilities and smoking applied to all public facilities.
I think it's arguable. I do know that when we are dealing with regulation of people's conduct in parks, especially potentially doing criminal enforcement, it's very helpful to have very specific rules on point. This allows us to put signage up that puts the public on notice. It's helpful to have those all in one section. And then, frankly, when we're talking about places like parks, traditional public forums, it's simply more efficient for us if we are going to go through that process to be able to say, we don't have to stretch it, we don't have to explain it. We can say, Your Honor, it's clearly prohibited in parks.
Any questions of the city attorney? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
All motion to waive full reading and introduction of ordinance number 1808 by title only and direct the city manager to place second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1808 on the consent calendar for the next regularly scheduled city council meeting. Put it.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilmember Ortiz, second by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote electronically.
Stephen, do we have to read these?
I know that's what I was going to ask.
Read the last one.
Do you have to read them?
The title?
We do not have to read the titles. They're included in the agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
So item number, now I lost my place. Item number 11.6, is that where we are?
We're 11.5. We just passed 11.5.
Okay, so item 11.6, ordinance number 1809, repealing Chapter 11 and various sections of Chapter 10 of the Indio Municipal Code, amending various sections and adding Chapter 12 relating to the enforcement of the code. Mr. Graham.
Thank you. This is the end of my ordinance writing for the evening. This is a consolidation and revision of essentially our entire enforcement of the code provisions. Not uncommon for a city of Indio's age, when you look at the municipal code, to have things keep getting added on over the years, and eventually you have enforcement mechanisms spread throughout the entire code. It makes it difficult for a member of the public to know what to expect, but also for city enforcement officials to know what to expect. And then lastly, occasionally you end up with inconsistencies or inefficiencies. So what we've done is we've gone through the entire code. It was a very heavy lift from the assistant city attorneys in my office, as well as code enforcement and other city staff, to go through to find all of the sections that need to be updated and revised, put them all in one easy to understand, easy to locate, and easy to enforce section of the code, which will be primarily Chapter 12. A lot of this stuff here existed in the municipal code in different areas. Now they will all be in one place. And also, I think some of it has been restated to make it more efficient. And then lastly, there are some revisions that were proposed by the assistant city attorney who works with code enforcement because of difficulties they have had out there enforcing these different provisions of the code. Instead of coming to you with an ordinance update every time we had a little hiccup, I told them just to write down a list And so we could bring you one comprehensive update. So that's what you have in front of you.
So the code will now jump from Chapter 10, 11, or from Chapter 10 to Chapter 12.
Chapter 11 will be repealed, and now it will be Chapter 12.
So we're going to go from 10 to 12.
11 to 12. Oh, yes, sorry. The code will go 10, there will be no 11, and then there'll be 12. We could have simply repealed and replaced 11. I understand what you're saying. One of the reasons I prefer to do this is because the city has a lot of forms and a lot of processes. And now, if I see Chapter 11 on a form, I know it's out of date.
Right.
It needs to be updated.
Right.
If we just repeal and replace,
right,
then we're not going to know for sure. It's just one of those ways of making our job easier to do. That's the thought process.
Okay, so Chapter 11 will read this chapter left out intentionally.
It will include a language that this was repealed by this ordinance. That way anyone who wants to know what it used to say, because it will still be applicable to everything that was cited before this goes into effect.
Oh, okay. All right. Any other questions of Mr. Graham? Mr. Miller?
Nope.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
So moved. I'm trying to find the right. Recommend that the City Council take the following action: waive full reading and introduction of ordinance number 1809 by title only, and 2, direct the city manager to place second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1809 on the consent calendar for the next regularly scheduled City Council meeting.
I'll second. Oscar.
I'll second that.
Motion by Councilmember Holmes and a second by Councilmember Ortiz. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote electronically. Motion passes unanimously. Are you guys serious? Now you want me to do public hearing? You promise.
It's only 7.
Yeah, but 3 public hearings? Yeah.
Very much needed.
Okay, public hearing time, people. Item number 12, oh, the Mr. Schneider show. 12.1, resolution number 10423, conditional approval of tentative parcel map 38741 to subdivide a 3.38 acre parcel of land into 2 separate parcels of land located at 8545 Highway 111, and determining that the project is categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to section 315 of the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines. Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, members of the City Council, Kevin Snyder, Director of Community Development. So I got my marching orders. I will be brief in my comments. But this is, as the council is very aware, this is kind of step 1 of a 2-step process of creating land in the state of California. A tentative parcel map is 4 lots or less, and this evening you're being asked to consider approving the creation of 2 lots. Let's see if I can get this to work. Oh, there we go. Took a minute. So again, this is tentative parcel map 38741. The applicant is Mercedes Herrera, and Armando Magana is the applicant's representative. They're both present this evening to answer any questions the council might have. This particular piece of property is 3.3 acres. It's located at the southeast corner of Shields Road and Highway 111. You may be very familiar with that area since there's a lot of construction going on there right now. And it is also within the boundaries of the Highway 111 corridor specific plan. So again, if you look on the map in front of you, that big star is the property. It's somewhat of an L-shaped piece of land, and the picture on the right shows you that it is adjacent to an existing medical office building and also across the street from a medical office building. And again, this is at the southeast corner of Shields Road and Highway 111, where we are currently doing a road construction project. This is the tentative parcel map. Again, it's creating 2 lots. Parcel 1 would be if you look at the map, there's 2 parcels. The top parcel is going to be 1.19 acres. The bottom parcel is going to be 2.19 acres. And right now, this is being done for financial purposes only. They do not have any immediate development plans for the property. So if they do at some point decide to develop the property, they would have to come to the city and go through the appropriate consideration process and also show compliance to the Highway 11 corridor specific plan that the council adopted. So we did our review of the project. We found that it is substantially in compliance with the Indio General Plan and the Unified Development Code. We did identify that there are appropriate conditions of approval to apply and those conditions are binding if the council decides to take action this evening to approve the tentative parcel map. So that we are, I should say the Planning Commission did review this on January 10th, 2024, and did recommend on a 5-0 motion to recommend to the City Council the adoption of the tentative parcel map for the benefit of the public. When you are subdividing land in the city, you have to go to the Planning Commission first. They give a recommendation to the City Council, and the City Council is the final decision maker. So again, we are recommending approval of Resolution 10423 that would grant the conditional approval of the map. I'm happy to answer any question, and the applicant's representatives are here as well. Thank you.
Do you have any questions of staff at this time? Seeing none, I will open the public hearing and invite any members of the public or the applicant to speak. Please step forward. We'll close the public hearing period and entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 10423, conditionally approving tentative track map number 38741.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Miller, a second by Councilmember Furman. If there be no further discussion, please cast your vote electronically. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, and thank you, Mr. Snyder. Moving on to item number 12.2, second reading of Ordinance 1805, establishment of pre-zoning designation of suburban neighborhood -4 via a zoning map amendment for a territory of land identified as southeastern sphere 1, comprised of approximately 36 acres east corner of Avenue 50 and Jackson Street. Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. Kevin Snyder, Director of Community Development. The item before you this evening is actually technically a second reading. And normally you would do that as part of your consent agenda process. But as the council is aware, on January 17th, you took action to establish the pre-zoning through the adoption of ordinance number 1805. And in the desire to be fully transparent and make sure that all parties have the opportunity to comment on this as the city goes forward to make application to the Riverside LAFCO for the consideration of including properties in our sphere of influence. In consultation with the city attorney, we felt it appropriate to bring this back and have a public hearing. There is no additional staff report on this other than the comments I've just made. We are recommending that you approve ordinance number 1805. That would be a motion action since it's outside the consent agenda framework. And I will give it over to the city attorney if he has any additional comments.
No additional comments, Mayor. In the interest of time.
Do we have any questions of staff at this time?
Can we run them together, Kevin? Or do we have to take them individually?
Mayor, if you wanted to open the public hearing on both 1805 and 1806, receive public comments, if any, on both, close both public hearings, and then take both in a single motion, that would be acceptable.
All right, so we're also going to consider item 12.3, second reading of ordinance number 1806, establishment of pre-zoning designation of Desert Estates Transition 3 via a zoning map amendment for a territory of land identified as southeastern sphere 1, comprised of approximately 228 acres located at south of Avenue 50, east of Jackson Street, west of Calhoun, and north of Avenue 52. Mr. Snyder, do you have anything to add?
No, Mayor, I do not.
Thank you. We have no questions of staff. I will open the public hearing on both items. If there be any members of the public wishing to speak on either item 12.2 or 12.3, second reading of ordinance 1805 and 1806, now is the time to make yourself known. There are requests to speak forms in the back of the room. If you fill one out and turn it into our city clerk, we would be happy to hear from you. I do not see anyone stepping forward. I will note for the record that we did receive email correspondence on this item, and it has been entered into the record. So I would close the public hearing period and entertain a motion.
Can you bring the motion back up on? Come on.
Because the other one's a little more lengthy, but it's not a problem.
I'll motion to approve ordinance 1805, authorizing a zoning map amendment for Southern Sphere 1, and approve ordinance number 1806, authorizing a zoning map amendment for Southern Sphere 2.
And I'll second that motion.
Motion by Councilmember Ortiz, second by Councilmember Holmes. If there be no further discussion, please cast your vote electronically. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, staff. Thank you, everyone. Before we adjourn, we do have public comments for items not on the agenda. We have one request to speak from Mr. Mike Zamudio. I know. Now you know how we feel.
Bryan Montgomery's not here, Chief. I have a couple things that I have a concern about. The first one is if you're coming north on Monroe Street before you get to Oleanders, you're coming down the hill, there's a lot of traffic that gets there right around 3 o'clock and around 5. So it's backed up all the way down the bridge. 2 times in the past maybe 3 weeks, I've gotten caught up in that traffic. And what I'm seeing is cars are jumping the sidewalk and going down and going around. And I'm gonna tell you, there's some big trucks that do that sometimes, and they spin their tires. The rocks are thrown into the street, into the cars. Somebody's gonna get hurt. So is there anything that can be done about that? That's my concern. Maybe put some bars up or something, I don't know. Big boulders. The other thing is, I've noticed that there's an increased travel of motorbikes on the CV link. I don't know if they've talked about maybe installing cameras or something. I don't know, but it's increasing. Let's see. Oh yeah, can we exchange the turtle for maybe one of those art pieces? That turtle that's going to be put up in Jackson Park. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Wassel for connecting me with some right people. I had a question about the park and some other issues, and I contacted Tim, and of course he responded right away. Tim, I can't tell you enough how much I thank you. I've met with some of the new park, the people that are taking care of the parks. I met with some city workers. They're all great, and I see improvement already in the parks. Okay. So, thank you, Tim. Thank you, City of Indio, for giving us a new landscape company to take care of our parks, because you could really, really see the improvement from what we had. So, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Zamudio. Are those street legal motorcycle bikes on the CV or not?
Some are, some are not.
Some are. Because street illegal are illegal everywhere. But street legal, we'll have to talk to CVAG. Who's on that committee?
I'm on transportation.
So both of you will
Blame
bring
the
that
two
to
of
your
them.
attention. Thank you. And Mr. Wassel, you took note of the Monroe Street issue. It might just be a signalization issue, that it's not allowing enough time for cars to go through the signal.
Backed up.
Yeah, it's backed up
It's a
over the bridge.
Widening an issue.
It's backed up from, it backs up from the Moreau interchange, and so the cars stop there. So what they're doing, they're coming down and making that turn onto 44 and jumping on the curb. And, yeah. Oh, and there's been a lot of, it's dark there. So Monroe, I think we really need to look at the lighting on Monroe. I know there's been a couple pedestrians hit, and although they shouldn't be crossing the road there, I've had close calls there, so it's pretty dark there. So maybe we just pay closer attention to that area.
Well, we'd have to work with IID on that. All right, if there be no further business, thank you everyone for attending. Our next meeting is February 21st. I wish everyone a happy Valentine's Day.